Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
If I take time and I write down all the things that I love on my island, best believe my list gon' be like 5 miles long. Best believe it's love that makes me sing this song. The cleanest breeze on the waters, friendly people meet in every corner. Togetherness and love is what we stand for. We stand for. Stand for. Oh, I am in the sun. Look at how we've grown, how far we've run. 50 years we strong and more to come. I'm going higher. 50 years we're blessed with much divine. Still reaching for more. Going up, up, and more. Going up, up, higher. As we aspire, build up ourselves, one people together.
Welcome to Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy. For too long now, our generally perceived poorly educated electorate have fallen victim to the cheap and inferior propaganda of those seeking to hold others captive under the guise of democracy. Gladly, the CDGG uses edification to help actively pursue a sustainable approach to reorient our people towards the importance of electing and selecting people of good character to public life. Through edification, we will highlight the importance of education appropriate to our development, proper health care and facilities as our right, respect for law and order, not to mention upgrading our people's thinking so they could become qualified participants in the democratic process to their advantage. After all, Grenada's national constitution makes allowances for the ideal of free men to enjoy freedom from fear and want, which can be best achieved if conditions are created whereby everyone may enjoy his economic, social and political, civil and cultural rights.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
There are some interesting specials available at Country Cold Store's Mini Mart while stock lasts. Take advantage of these specials as they assist you to stretch your limited funds.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris often blown about and can cause great damage.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. Hiring the right people with the right attitude and mindset is where to start. Even if you did not get it right through your current hiring methods, we can help develop the right mind. If you think training is expensive, try not training and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer skills and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And of course, we're here for another hour at least today. Welcome to Edification 232 under the sassy subject, develop the ability to be disliked and free yourself from the prison of other people's opinions. From the time you hear me mention upfront the topic for today, you know to expect some heat to help jumpstart your life for this coming week and beyond. Today, of course, being the first day of September, we are to revert to that old saying, you know, that old little nursery rhyme. June too soon, July, stand by, August you must, but September, remember. You know, this saying typically refers to the idea of, remembering significant events that happened in September, often tied, of course, to historical, cultural, or even personal moments. Two of the most prominent associations are with the September 7th, 2004 passage Hurricane Ivan, right here in Grenada. And of course, 49 years before, that Hurricane Janet of 1955. Goodly folks, we also have a very significant thing happening this week in Grenada. All schools are being reopened. We want to wish all students well. We want to wish their parents well. We want to also wish that the parents will get a little bit more, what should I say, conscious to understand the importance of priorities. Because we know a lot of fetting took place for the entire month of August. Not talk about the period leading up to it. And of course, those were not cheap. Those activities demanded resources. Well, we've been hearing a lot of begging and a lot of complaining and a lot of, oh my God, the school book's so expensive, the school uniform. Where do I want people to find money? They want people to find money by simply applying the knowledge of priorities and how important prioritizing in your life is. You see, when people ask me if how is this crisis, this thing of, expense and what's happening in the country and nothing seems to be happening, how is that, affecting me? I'm not taking part. Because what have I cut myself out of a lot of things? Because in truth and in fact, Grenada has become a place where you do not get value for money in the main. So where you going in all these places? Do you want to keep up appearances? You want to be a Jones? Folks, there is a cost attached to being a Jones, especially if you're one. So prioritize. So you realize my answer is quite correct. I am not participating because you see my priorities concern my shelter, my food for my hunger, my water for my thirst, my clothes for my back, to save me from nakedness. You get the message? And whatever little excess is to spend polishing my environment so that it is so nice, I don't need to go anywhere. Is that something? That is what you call prioritizing. You see, I don't have to have a new iPhone every year one comes out. No, the one I have is quite sufficient. they reach 16 or whatever. I'm in 13. That's good. But you know what I'm coming from to the 13? You'd be surprised. A 6. Hello? Water to be more than flour for me to upgrade. It has to become necessary for me to upgrade. Priorities, priorities. So goodly folks, as soon as you come into the room, please share, comment, like, love, and of course, just interact as you usually do. Great to have you again. Let's keep this community going and growing. Of course, we must start with the interpretation of angel number 232, which symbolizes harmony, balance, and communication. It's a sign from your guardian angels or the higher power that you believe in that you're on the right track towards reaching your goals. Prioritize harmonious relationships, work-life balance, and expressing yourself authentically to find success. You see, in a society deeply entrenched in social media, external validation, and peer pressure, the fear of being disliked has become a common source of anxiety for many. You see, this fear is often rooted in our human, instinct to belong and to be accepted. But you see, however, this constant need for approval, it sort of creates a psychological prison, confining individuals within the limits of other people's opinions. You see, to break free from this prison, one must cultivate the courage to be disliked and prioritize authenticity over acceptance. Stop transferring your virtual life into your real life situations by doing what you do in real life for the likes and the engagements. Oh no. There are some people who are great communicators in that when they put their authenticity out there consistently, other people know who they are and what they stand for, and usually keep to their side of the road where the traffic might be less than to come on this other people's side, my side, your side, and get swallowed up by the torrents of traffic on our side. You see, don't you for a moment sit back and think a lot of these people are not viewing you and your stuff. Oh, hell no, they hide to do it. They do not interact because they don't want you to have proof that they are actually, engaging. But they are following you. And in following you, they renew their hate you. The prison of approval. Why we care so much? You see, human beings are inherently social creatures, and much of our behavior is influenced by the desire to be liked and accepted. From a young age, we learn to seek validation from family, from teachers, from our peers, shaping our self-worth based on their feedback. While this social instinct, folks, has its evolutionary benefits, in modern life, if wider understanding of that socialization having its place is not attained, shaping our self-worth based on other people's feedback can be debilitating, as it is to so many people in society today. You know, when I was growing up, and I got invited to my more privileged friends' birthday parties, I recall my mother reminding me that the only organized suit of clothing you have, Sonny, is really your school clothes. She also went further to say, I don't have no money to buy any new thing for you to attend no party. What did this mean? If I really wanted to attend such parties, I would have to dress in my school clothes. I was warned beforehand that other children will laugh at me and want to bully me about wearing my school clothes to a party. If I can handle that, then I can go. Interestingly, I was not focused on that aspect of things at all. As I was more seeing as a youth back then, all I was seeing was the sandwiches, the cheese straws, the cake, the ice cream, the juice, and the other goodies at the party. None of which we had at home. All of these polished off with some good play. Joke you're making. I must go to that party, school clothes or not. To me, focusing on those things were worth the sacrifice of being laughed at regarding how I was dressed. From an early age, my mother introduced me to self-confidence, folks, and high self-esteem. She said, if any of them attempt to shame you and make you feel bad for how you are dressed in your school clothes, stamp your foot on the ground, man, and tell them, we in the same party, though. That ought to fix them. And guess what? It did. I am here focusing on the matter at hand, and you come talking stupidness about my school clothes. Joke you making. You see confidence? Well, where that came from? Parenting, folks. That was a mother you could have afforded to call Moses, strong woman. This apple really never rolled when it fell from that tree, you know, folks. And the people who know my mother, they know this is the carbon copy. So how I was socialized accounts for my brawn, my guts, and my gumption today. It's easy to dislike someone like me, as I am armed with my authenticity always. You see, the rise of social media platforms has amplified this tendency to live for approval, where the number of likes or followers is often seen as a measure of one's worth. So you can always tell an empty person who's pandering to others for approval. There's some people, they have to take picture at every corner of their house for you to see, because never see, come see. I don't want such people visiting me, you know, because they like to take picture, and tell people where they are. I don't ever do that. Here's where I live, here's where I function. So you will see a little bit of where I live when I do my live in my living room. But that's the only how you'll be exposed to that. You ain't seen me taking pictures all over the house. And that's nonsense. That is a manifestation of never see, come see. You see, many individuals carefully curate their actions, appearance, and even thoughts to align with the expectations of others. The constant pressure to meet societal standards or maintain an image traps these individuals in a cycle of seeking external approval, often at the expense of their own authenticity. This becomes a prison because their sense of identity is no longer self-determined, but is dependent on fluctuating and often superficial opinions. You see, Oprah was recently asked why she thinks, in spite of being exposed to so much, many people still seem to be unhappy. Her answer was to die for, folks. She simply retorted, quote, and even though I'm saying quote, it's really, I'm attributing what I'm about to say she said to her, but it's in a paraphrased form. People are envying and being jealous of other people's fake and false profiles on social media. And because they have a desire to be better than and outdo the other, they encounter perpetual unhappiness. Unquote. You see, open your eyes and look around you, and you will see the number of unhappy people in truth who live in virtual crab holes, bordering on squalor, but they own the latest iPhone and Samsung though. Always up on Facebook, posting beautiful and oftentimes misleading pictures of their reality, instead of getting their lives in alignment with their reality and learning how being able to prioritize will change their trajectory in life. Always envying other people who have life together. But what's the cost of living for approval, folks? It's very, very expensive. It is immense. People who constantly strive to please others may compromise their own values, their own desires, and their own ambitions. They become overly concerned with what others think, afraid of judgment or rejection. This leads to feelings of insecurity, low self-esteem, and a lack of fulfillment. Folks, a lot of the people that do not like you cannot afford to tell you so because they are not authentic. They are not honest with themselves. In fact, you might even see them contracting or egging on others who might be what you may call on the verge of vagrancy to attack you, ascribing to you who they really are. Man, they call you all sorts of names. They ascribe all sorts of nasty gutter things to you. And when you do your research, you realize, but wait, now these people were really just putting my name in between who they are. Ha ha! Isn't that sad? But who are the people behind it? Anyhow, when individuals tailor their behavior to be liked, they lose touch with their true selves. You see, over time, they may become disconnected from their own needs and aspirations, leading to what? Dissatisfaction they cannot even explain. You see, the constant fear of being disliked prevents personal growth and limits one's ability to take risks or express genuine thoughts and emotions. Folks, when you do not care whether people like you or not, you are putting yourself in a position to be respected. And that's the greatest gift anybody can give you. You see, the paradox here is that more one strives to be liked, the more they might lose themselves, which can result in a very rejection that they fear from all who they wish to like and approve them. Folks, I told you something some time ago. I think it's appropriate for me to bring it back here for you. There was a certain gentleman who don't like me, probably doesn't even know I know that. But for political reasons, because my views are strong and my views are well known. I don't like the old nastiness, never did, never will, and I still am planning to. It's as simple as that. But guess what? This gentleman leads a very, very, very lucrative business, was looking for a key employee and advertised the position. Having advertised the position, got a wash of applicants. But you know the applicant that gentleman was really and truly attracted to? The one whose resume had my name as a referee. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. That is respect. Do I have to care whether this gentleman like me or not? No, but he respects me, though. Who got it? Who received a call for verification? Me. And what was the retort when the name was? I said, no. You have to give that lady the job. I say, you will never regret it. Because that individual will lighten your load. You know what the gentleman's retort was? Same thing I tell them, tell the board that. Because you's a kind of man. You ain't letting nobody put their name on your name on their resume just so. And I laughed. I said, and you're very correct. I said, you will just remember me telling you this. What did I do? I went to my planner and I counted 90 days. I added 5 days just in case the person was not going to be hired that day. And I said, I made a note that I will call this gentleman back to find out how is the person doing. You want to hear what the response was? Well, you're so right, huh? You're so right. I couldn't desire better. I couldn't desire better. A matter of fact, we're just about reviewing her salary because she needs a big increase. simply because I have a lot more time on my hand now. She manages me. Hello? That is what respect earns for you. Like and dislike, I don't care about those two. I'll be honest with you. Just as long as I remain authentic, and you know you can trust my word. You see, the power of authenticity, developing the ability to be disliked, is a powerful step towards personal freedom. This does not mean being antagonistic or dismissive of others' feelings. Rather, it means having the courage to stay true to yourself, even when it might not align with others' expectations and preferences. Authenticity is liberating because it allows individuals to express their true selves without fear of judgment. Truly authentic people know judgment will come anyway, but they persist to do them in spite of the judgment. Hello? The president of the club here. Now that's what is called operating at a dangerously high level of freedom. You see, when a person no longer seeks external validation, they begin to operate from a place of inner confidence and self-worth. This shift allows them to pursue their true passions, make decisions that align with their core values, and live a life of meaning and integrity. Being disliked in this context is not a failure, but a sign of independence. It reflects the understanding that not everyone will agree with or approve of your choices, and that's perfectly fine. Folks, listen to this carefully. If no one sees you as a threat, it means you are not strong enough. If no one sees you as an enemy, it means you are not important enough. If no one talks behind your back, it means you are not outstanding enough. If someone targets you and takes advantage of you, it means you have value. If anyone isolates you, it means you are strong enough. If someone imitates you, it means you are charismatic. If someone slanders you, it means you are too prominent in their eyes. If someone mocks you, it means you have unique thinking. If someone confronts you, it means they see you as superior to them. That's their problem. All these things stem from others not measuring up to you. And their criticism of you is a real form of admiration that they only know how to express this way. Folks, you like that, eh? What about building the ability to be disliked? You see, cultivating the ability to be disliked requires inner strength and self-awareness. Cultivating that ability is too many of us simply do not have the brawn to develop that ability. You see, the first step is to recognize that the opinions of others do not define your worth. People's judgment are often shaped by their own insecurities, their own biases, their own experiences, which means what? They are not necessarily reflective of objective truth. You see, understanding this can help you detach from the need for approval. Folks, we have to learn to practice self-compassion. Accepting that you will make mistakes and that you are not perfect is a critical aspect of freeing yourself from the judgment of others. When you are kind to yourself, you become less reliant on external sources for validation. As you know that not everyone is going to like you, and that is okay. Just as long as you don't join them to not like you too. That leaves you with more of yourself to like without distractions. Not every storm that comes to disrupt your life. Some come just to clear your path. Folks, when I think of Hurricane Ivan, the immediate, oh yes, it was devastating. But when I look back, Hurricane Ivan was one of the greatest blessings to have come into my life. Oh yes, it did a serious cleaning out. You see, setting clear personal boundaries, folks, is more than essential. Boundaries allow you to protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being. They communicate to others that while you value their opinions, you are not willing to compromise your own needs or beliefs to gain their approval. So, what are some of the benefits of embracing dislike? Surprisingly, the possibility of being disliked often leads to deeper or meaningful relationships. When you show up as your authentic self, the connections you form are based on mutual respect and understanding rather than superficial approval. Additionally, living authentically fosters creativity and innovation, as no longer limited by the fear of judgment. Being disliked can also lead to greater resilience. When you stop relying on external approval, you become more emotionally self-sufficient and better equipped to handle criticism or even rejection. One ingredient to a strong barrier is to remove yourself from environments that are not a plus to your independence. If those environments do not aid your continuous independence, hello, extricate yourself. Move. Hit the delete button and get away from there. You begin to see that people's opinions are just that, opinions. And they do not have the power to define your identity or your success. You see, hurtful words or opinions directed at you without you applying any sought after emotion to gratify the hater will fall flat and end as just words that have not reached their intended destination. Folks, you had to break free. Break free from the prison of other people's opinions. And that requires the development of inner confidence and the ability to be disliked. While it can be uncomfortable at first, nobody's telling you it's a walk in the park at first, this path leads to a more fulfilling and authentic life. By prioritizing your own values and desires over the need for external validation, you gain the freedom to live on your own terms. In a world where so many are trapped by the fear of judgment, developing the ability to be disliked is not only an act of courage, but it is also one of true liberation. Folks, develop the ability to be disliked now. Free yourself from the prison of other people's opinion. Let's take a little break and we'll come right back with more fire. So we have a lot more where that comes from.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safely and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often thrown about and can cause great damage.
Going up,
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks. And for those of you just joining, I want to welcome you to this platform. If you are for the first time, welcome. You're in a wonderful community and a good group, very, very loyal group. Glad to have you. Just hit the share button and let's get some more to be edified. Because, you know, as I tell you folks, I have no problems being, that's the only fault I have, being frank. It's a serious frank, it's a serious fault rather to have, but I love it. Good. So for those of you just coming in, I really appreciate you. And those of you registering that appreciation love, right back at you, folks. Right back at you. So welcome back. Folks, in a world that constantly bombards us with external stimulation, be it through social media, work, or endless activities, the fear of being alone is a common struggle for many. Many people among us just don't want to appear to get left, and they therefore would do anything included by others, even at the expense of losing themselves entirely. Loneliness is often portrayed as something to be avoided, a sign of isolation or disconnection. However, there's a profound difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a state of emotional lack, while solitude can be a source of deep fulfillment. The key to this fulfillment lies in being content with oneself. Because if you are happy with the person you are alone with, you are never truly alone. The fear of being alone is rooted in our deep-seated need for connection and belonging. Social creatures, all of us are. Humans are wired to form relationships and seek companionship. Society often reinforces the idea that constant interaction with others is essential for happiness. Social media, movies, cultural norms frequently celebrate relationships, celebrate friendships, and social gatherings as the benchmarks of a good life. But folks, have you ever been to gatherings where, as observant as you are, as discerning as you are, you could actually see that people there don't like one another? I've been to too many of those, and I tell you, I'm not going back because it's annoying. Remember, time. When you give people some of your time, it is really a piece of you that you are giving away that you can never get back. And that is why you have to spend your time where you are getting returns. There must be reciprocity. You must feel the genuine appreciation. This must come back to you that aids satisfaction that this was time well spent. But you see, as Isabel Allende once wrote, true relationships withstand time, distance, silence. And if you have these three, then you have developed true and lasting relationships. You see, these three things are often present among members of very small circles, as members of massive groups are not capable of this at all, because they're always competing for your attention. It's a lot of confusion. Keep smaller circles, folks. Solitude is often seen as something negative, something to be feared or avoided. People who spend time alone are sometimes perceived as lonely or unhappy, which leads to an internalized fear of isolation. You see, this fear can drive individuals to constantly seek out company, even if it means surrounding themselves with people or engaging in activities that do not necessarily align with their true desires or values. You see, loneliness and solitude, though often used interchangeably, are two fundamentally different experiences. Loneliness is the feeling of being disconnected, even when surrounded by people. It stems from a sense of emptiness or inadequacy within oneself. On the other hand, solitude is deliberate choice to spend time with yourself, often with a sense of peace and contentment. You see that safe space? It provides for peace, an inner joy that cannot be explained. and it must be protected at all costs. You see, when you are happy with the person that you're alone with, yourself that is, solitude becomes a powerful and enriching experience. Rather than feeling the absence of others, you begin to feel whole in your own company. Solitude allows for reflection, creativity, and self-discovery without noise or other forms of distraction. It provides the mental space needed to connect with your inner thoughts, feelings, and aspirations. At the heart of being happy with your own company is self-contentment, folks, and that's very important. This contentment arises from self-acceptance, a healthy sense of self-worth, a positive relationship with oneself. When you enjoy being alone, it is because you have developed a level of comfort with who you are, independent of external validation or approval. And somebody comes to you to tell you, well, you know what somebody tell me about you? You're supposed to run that person from you, you know. Because there is a person who's coming with a message that they likely heard, that they all want to make sure you know, because they want to intercept your happiness and your peace. Run them. The other day, somebody came talking some nonsense to me, starting actually to tell me some nonsense about somebody they know I know, that person's wife. I say, hold up, cut. You need to go somewhere else and talk that kind of talk. But what I mean, I say, hey. A matter of fact, I'm too busy. You know that person. You see, a lot of you don't understand. If they have no listeners, there would be no goddamn talkers. But among you like the mawet so much. You like people business so much. You don't want to offend them. I don't care who is offended. Just don't bring wrong thing to me. You're not getting through. Don't tell me nothing about nobody. Because when you're done, you're going to talk about me. I don't want to hear nothing about nobody, because I went to the supermarket, whatever day it was, and I can't pay the bill with what you're telling me. Just get away from me. Go and find the people who like them kind of stupidness. Because most people who like them kind of stupidness, they're broke. They're dragging on the ground because they have all the time in the world to mind people business. And they know that kind of people know who they're voting for. It's a phenotype, you know. Just leave me alone. You see, self-contentment does not mean complacency or an inflated ego. Hell no. Rather, it is the understanding that your value is not contingent on others. It is the realization that you are enough as you are, and that you can provide yourself with love, attention, and care that you often mistakenly seek from others. Because they're not going to give you what you're looking for. They're not going to be on full throttle to deliver. See, when you reach this level of self-awareness, solitude becomes a space where you can recharge, grow, and thrive. Learning to enjoy your own company offers numerous benefits for personal well-being. Such people never want to be status-oriented and will never become status-starved if and when the status is gone. You see how the old nastiness going around like the Jeptic he really is? Because he's status-starved. Because without status, look at him. Just look at him. So he's in a suit. Look at him. Cannot contain the negative, authentic character traits that he embodies. Even in a suit, behaves like the lowest miscreant you could ever dream of knowing. And to think A lot of you stayed away from the polls and caused that nastiness to run amok over this country from 1995 to 2022 for the most part. It is just, can't believe it. You see, a preacher once said, it is because you are so nice to people that you take the same people with you where you are going, not realizing you should have stayed where you were. The hell you're going if you're going with them? So when you open up for change, meaningful change in your life, that is, the God of our universe is not only changing your season, but he's changing your physical address too. You need to be telling somebody no, that they will have to stumble upon barrier to visit you at your new location. They better have patience and they better could climb, because it's going to be difficult to connect with you where you are in this new place. You see, the boundary between our past and our future is God ordained. You should realize that when your circle gets smaller, you are close to where you are going. And you know that you're almost there when you are alone. Stop saying you feel you are in this all by yourself. And you're starting to induce what is called self-pity and nonsense. After all, you are right where you need to be, alone. You were born alone. And you should perfect the art of being alone. You could be alone and smile. And you could be alone and feel contentment. You know you are living your true purpose. How many of you can recall being there for everybody when they need you, and nobody's around when you need them? That is why we all need to stay away from people who put us last, but call us first when they need something. Our local environment is full of them. Full of them. We have to watch that, folks. Watch that. Grenada is like a factory for just negative vibes. Negative. Everything is lolly drain talk. Rubbish. You understand? And where is it getting us? It's not getting us anywhere, but we continue to do the same goddamn thing and expecting a different outcome. Stay away from people who put you last, but call you first when they need something. That goes on here ad nauseum. We see it all the time. Good? Our local environment, as I said, is just replete with them. Imagine some people are jealous of many quietly actualized people who are alone just because they think of them as lonely. Oh no. We must all affirm, I am alone because I am finally enjoying the me that God has blessed me to be. I am finally alone. I am alone because I am finally enjoying the me that God has blessed me to become. Isn't that a beautiful affirmation? Folks, when you say that on a daily basis, you feel powerful, you know. Powerful. You see, the biggest problem among us here in Grenada is low self-esteem. A lot of us don't have an idea of who we are. Some of the people watching this right now just can't help themselves. Stoop sing while I'm saying what I'm saying. Who does he think he is? And first, I don't like he. Why he had to say it like that? The way he just put things there, that man really crass. And maybe you are correct with all of those questions. But I've heard it all. But what I can tell you is that I am sure of myself and hence lack no confidence to watch someone straighten their cocoge. Manos a manos, eye to eye, cocoge a cocoge, and tell them what they need to hear. a need to know. Those comments, why he had to say it so I don't like it, all them kind of stupid comments. Do you see those comments? As a response to my straight up frankness, those comments are coming from unconscious people. We need to catch ourselves in the act and stop it. If we can have the power to say it, we also have the power to not express it after thinking it and honestly speak ourselves out of that thinking. You see, the expression of any negative vibe like that is the result of self-hate. Why isn't your brain wired to clap and applaud someone who is brave enough and full of self-confidence to do what he is doing, which of course you can get the influence and encouragement from to follow? Why? After all, that's a signal for what I can do too. That's what you should be saying to yourself. That should be a reaction. That's a signal based on how that man operates. Wait, that's a signal that I could do that too, you know. But where there's low self-esteem, you will find hurt people, because people with low self-esteem are very hurt people. They will go out of their way to hurt others. So if like me, I am not going to like you. If I don't feel good about me, I am not going to feel good about you. If I don't know how to love me, I would not have a clue how to love you either. And if I don't have a worthwhile purpose to put my life to, I will make your life a living hell. We see that acting out in Grenada every day. You see, self-awareness is all too important for us to be neglecting it, as so many of us do. Folks, as Reverend Dale Bronner asserts, knowledge knows what to do, skill knows how to do it, and wisdom knows when to do it and whether or not it should be done at all. So you see the importance of paying attention? You will be in the know, because knowledge nurtures opportunities and wisdom. Folks, no one can save you but you. No one can save you but you. You have to put the mind into what you want to put the mind into. If you believe in something, you can achieve it. Only you can create your purpose. Trying to impress others does not always work. Make yourself happy, man. If you have found something that makes you happy, trust me, folks, follow it. Develop the ability to be disliked, folks. Free yourself from the prison of other people's opinions. Let's get another break here, and we'll come right back with more, because we have a lot more where this came from.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause damage.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks. Wonderful, and welcome back. And for those of you just joining, let me welcome you. It's heartwarming to have you on this platform today with us. Hit the share button and let's get some more people in the room. Folks, when you develop the ability to be disliked, and you complete the assignment of freeing yourself from the prison of other people's opinions. You are now more than equipped to identify and run away from anyone posing as a leader who never really served. Leadership is more than just holding a title or commanding authority. It is about serving others, understanding the needs of those that you lead, and demonstrating empathy, accountability, and humility. You see, true leadership stems from a foundation of service. Folks, in order for you to be a good leader, you have to excel at following. You see, the leader has first-hand experience in the challenges, struggles, and needs of those that they lead. A warning to run away from leaders who have never served underscores the danger of following individuals who lack this essential connection with the people they are meant to serve. You see, leaders without a history of service are often disconnected from the reality, driven by ego and focused on power rather than the collective good. Such leaders can lead their followers down a perilous path of division, neglect, and poor decision-making. Don't talk about if you follow a leader who is a known thief and whose only objective is to focus on enriching himself or herself. You will surely be doomed, as all the examples you will see will lead you to normalize unlawful acts and redefine thieving as the only means of becoming successful. You see, the importance of service in leadership only followers evolve into great leaders. Service is at the heart of leadership, folks. Genuine leaders who have served others, whether in the military, community work, or other positions of responsibility, develop a deep understanding of the needs and challenges of those they lead. This experience fosters empathy, humility, and a sense of responsibility, folks. You see, serving others requires a leader to put aside personal gain and work for the greater good, which is a key quality of effective leadership. But ineffective leadership comes at the expense of social and moral decay of a society that is careless enough to elect or select a miscreant, a wrongdoer, an open lawbreaker, time and time again to lead them. It tells you that society gone true to effortlessly look in the direction of an old thief, an old crook, constantly, and still follow. Sad. You see, leaders who have served often know what it means to struggle, to sacrifice, and to work as part of a team. They understand the importance of collaboration and the value of every individual's contribution. The service also teaches resilience, adaptability, and a commitment to shared goals, all of which are critical for guiding others through difficult times. Without this foundation, a leader may lack the emotional intelligence and the wisdom necessary to inspire and guide others into a deserved better standard of living and quality of life. We have to watch out for dangers of leaders who have never served, for they do not have a view from the other side of leadership. You see, leaders who have never served often lack the essential qualities that make leadership effective and ethical. These individuals may rise to positions of power through wealth, connections, or at times questionable charisma. But without having ever engaged in service, they are disconnected from the experiences of those they lead. You see, this disconnect can lead to dangerous consequences. For starters, lack of empathy. Leaders who have never served often struggle to understand the real needs of their followers without having experienced the hardships and the challenges of those they lead. They may lack empathy and make decisions based solely on their own interests. This lack of understanding can result in policy and actions that alienate and harm the very people they are meant to protect and guide. And that is why there are so many poor and vulnerable people in Grenada today, because those are the people that were being stashed on the vote farm while their lives are destroyed, and they don't see that. You see, put in the mix greed, selfishness, and just plain wickedness. And what do you have? An evolved nastiness, properly qualified to be referred to as none other than Satan's grandson. What about ego-driven leadership? You see, many leaders who have not served are driven by ego and a desire for power or cost. You see, so rather than focusing on the needs of their followers, they prioritize their own ambitions and make up things on their opponents and give faceless and nameless sycophants the job to lead the smear campaign against them. This type of leadership often leads to authoritarian behavior, where the leader expects loyalty and obedience without offering support or understanding in turn to the vote farm constituents, who are kept in a constant and perpetual state of poverty and vulnerability. You see, such leaders are more concerned with their image and their legacy than with the well-being of people. What legacy can such leaders really end with? You tell me. You tell me. These leaders who have never served may be out of touch with the real world issues that affect their followers. The bigger issues that relate to the environment, technology, health and wellness, education will take a back seat, as they are never seen as part of the formula for sincere, people-centered leadership. Such leaders make decisions based on theoretical and abstract ideas rather than grounded practical experiences, because their focus is always on benefits for themselves. This disconnection from reality can lead to misguided policies, inefficiency, and frustration among those that they lead. You see, when leaders are disconnected from the grassroots level, they lose sight of the everyday challenges people face, leading to a leadership style that feels distant, cold, and out of touch. You see, true loyalty is earned through service, respect, and trust. Leadership who have served inspire loyalty because they have shown that they understand and care for their followers. But you see, on the other hand, leaders who have never served often rely on what? Fear, manipulation, or false promises to secure allegiance from cult members. And when they are not in the position of leadership over the greater whole, so to speak, and they're vying to come back, oh man, they concoct stories. They interpret plain things in a way, throw them back out there, and get their dunce supporters to respond to that instead of the truth. You see, such leadership is fragile. It's built on coercion rather than genuine respect and admiration. Over time, followers may grow disillusioned and distrustful of leaders who have never truly invested in their well-being, like we are seeing all too often with the contempt meted out to the infamous Satan grandson. Satan grandson could never have a good legacy. Oh no. What are some of the qualities of a leader who have served? You see, leaders who have served demonstrate several key qualities that make them effective and even trustworthy. You know, number one is humility. Serving others instills humility in leaders, proper leaders. It reminds them that they are part of a larger community and that their role is to support, not dominate. You see, humility allows leaders to recognize the strengths of others, seek advice, and admit when they are wrong. This makes them more approachable and what? Trustworthy. That quality is not to be found in the old nastiness, and that's a fact. Empathy. You see, service breeds empathy because it requires leaders to put themselves in the shoes of others. And they know that just saying is not to be compared with doing. You see, leaders who have served under the struggles and hardships of their followers and are more likely to make compassionate, people-centered decisions. You see, empathy builds a sense of connection and trust between leaders and their followers. Always saying you love the poor and vulnerable does not equate to real love when action shows that you do not love them, because all you have done is create more of them for the own purpose of staying in power and never improving their lot, to the point where many of them believe how they live is how they were meant to live until they die. It has been proved that that quality of empathy is most definitely not to be found in the old nastiness. And that's fact. Oh God, accountability. That's one that old nastiness has shown an allergic reaction to. Leaders who have served are more likely to hold themselves accountable for their actions. They understand the importance of responsibility because they have experienced the consequences of leadership decisions firsthand. This accountability ensures that they act with integrity and consider the long-term effects of their decisions. You see, that quality, hello, is not to be found in the old nastiness. And that's a fact. Commitment to the greater good. We could boo him on that too. You see, leaders who have served know that leadership is about more than personal gain. It is about advancing the common good. They prioritize the well-being of their followers and the collective goals of the group that they lead over their own self-interest. They obey the rules of engagement of their organization and I never want to circumvent them to have their way at the exclusion of others. You see, this sense of duty and commitment inspires others to follow them willingly and passionately. That quality relating to commitment to the greater good is not to be found in the old nastiness. Hello, and that's a fact. You see, service often involves facing challenges, solving problems, and adapting to changing circumstances. Leaders who have served are more resilient in the face of adversity and more capable of leading their followers through difficult times. They understand that leadership requires flexibility and perseverance, and that even though the group they lead might be down now, they are not out and will do all within their scope to lead them back to the promised land of victory, not by always being wound up by a nameless, faceless monster who misses being the sidekick of power, like corrupt Grace Mugabe, over a nation's coffers to swindle and rape it at will. You see, history is filled with examples of leaders who embody the qualities of service and those who do not. Leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Golda Meir of Israel, Nelson Mandela, Bishop Desmond Tutu, and Mother Teresa are often revered not only for their leadership, but for their lifetime of service to others. They demonstrated humility, empathy, and an unwavering commitment to the well-being of their people. Their service gave them moral authority and a deep connection to those whom they led. You see, conversely, history has also shown the dangers of leaders who rise to power without the background of service. Dictators and authoritarian rulers who have never served their people often prioritize personal gain over the needs of their citizens. Their leadership is marked by self-interest through, of course, let me get real down to earth now, through thieving, oppression, and disconnection from the everyday struggles of their people, ultimately leading to division, unrest, and societal breakdown, like we are seeing in Grenada today. You see, I respectfully conclude on this segment by advising strongly that you run away from leaders who have never served. A cautionary statement that emphasizes the importance of service in leadership. Leaders who have never served are often disconnected from the needs of their followers, driven by, of course, ego, and unable to lead with empathy and humility. In contrast, leaders who have a history of service are grounded in compassion, accountability, and a genuine desire to advance the greater good. You see, as followers, it is our responsibility to choose leaders who understand the value of service, for they are the ones who can guide us with wisdom, empathy, and integrity, leading us to trust them, be accountable in all they do. Folks, I want you to follow my path and develop the ability to be disliked and free yourself from the prison of other people's opinions. Let's take a final break. We'll come back with some more fire, as we say, because we have a lot where that came from. Good? So.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftop and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wunderbar. You know what that means in German? Wonderful. Wonderful. So we're back, and this is the final segment. So put on your seatbelts, folks, because this one is going to be climactic. All right. Thank you for joining, those of you who might be late. It's lovely to have you in the room. But of course, hit that share button. It's never too late. It's always, they say, better late than dead on time. Folks, as I take my leave today, I want to chime in on a recent issue which served as a major distraction to the many easily distracted Grenadians by the most consistent con to ever group the corridors of power in Grenada. Yes, you heard me right. The most consistent con to ever group the corridors of power in Grenada. Remember, I embody the courage to be disliked and could not be bothered about the opinions of others who cannot match wits, brawn, strength, and confidence to stand firmly and share as I do. You see, the offended always seek the help of miscreants and vagrants. Haven't you seen the people who are in the vanguard, out front, in defense of the old nastiness? The only response you could have is, oh, Gede. It's sad, eh? Folks, I already know, because nothing I share can be disputed. Several of you only hate who is doing the sharing. Having put that to rest, though, I am firm in my conviction. You know where we're going now. I am firm in my conviction, folks, and I'm putting it in the comment section right now. I am putting it in the comment section right now for you. You know exactly where I'm going. Hashtag KEAT gone and he not coming back. Because I cannot understand Anybody that could behave the gutter way, that Negro consistently behaves, I could never see anybody in their right head bringing that low class, low caste of individual back to lead this country. I could never see that. So come on, let me see all of you affirm hashtag KEAT gone and he not coming back. You see, as a leader who seeks to keep everyone else trapped suggests preventing progress or freedom. Folks, let me put that in the comment section for you to see what the first letter of each word spells. Let me put it in the comment section for you to see. Tell me what you feel this is. It's an acronym. A leader who seeks to keep everyone else trapped suggests preventing progress or freedom. Check it out and you'll see for yourself. A leader who seeks to kill every effort together. Isn't that interesting? Kill every effort together. What does that tell you? I'll put them all together. I'll wait for them to go together. A leader who seeks to make sure knowledge ends every time, in chaos, that is, suggests an end to proper learning or understanding, as such will make them irrelevant. You see, a leader who seeks to kill enthusiasm every time reflects consistently dampening excitement or motivation by dressing in the morning and setting out to make mischief and mawet. You get a message? A leader who seeks to keep everything extremely toxic suggests maintaining a harmful or unhealthy environment all and must be stopped by hook or crook. Let me put the last three together and put them in the comment section, and you tell me what the first letter of each one. Put the first letter of each one together and see what it spells, and you'll see how coincidental this is. Folks, we really ought to be out of our mind to bring this dirtiness back around the precincts of power, you know. That gutter man. Because that's all he is, you know. Old Jeptic, you know. Ain't good for nothing. You see? A leader who seeks to keep everything extremely toxic is suggests maintaining a harmful and unhealthy environment for all and must be stopped by hook or crook. But you ain't putting in the comment section. Oh yes, I see somebody here. What they pick up from the first letter of each. And you'll see. You see, each of these carry a different type of negative connotation, depending on the tone and context. You see, the frank realities I share unabashedly each week describes Thomas Hobbes's utterance. Hell is truth seen too late. Therefore, 1 ounce of prevention will always be better than a pound of cure. 1 ounce of prevention, folks, is always better than a whole pound of cure. We have to be serious, folks. You see, too many of us in Grenada will never grow. We'll never get rid of weaknesses because we have others co-signing of foolishness instead of telling us the truth. Too many of us have raised our voices because we are totally incapable of improving the quality of our argument. You see, on my journey, loads of things broke my heart over the years, but totally fixed my vision. You see, the behavior of all the old nastiness in the Parliament of Grenada sets the record straight. Our 62% youthful population, meaning under 35s, ought not tolerate that, and see to it that not because one man is status starved and frustrated, and of course lonely too, and have no more big shots as his associates and accomplices, he should ever be given a chance to see national leadership ever again. He has proved that his motive for leadership is all about personal gain and not the national good. The conversation among the over 35s will always be different, as they were molded into believing that that is how politics should be, and even representation at our lawmaking level. I say hell no to that. You see, Simone de Beauvoir once said, "The oppressor would not be so strong if he did not have accomplices among the oppressed." That old nastiness has too many of you as accomplices to your own oppression, and you think he like all you. Man, don't even like himself. You see, the big issue in Grenada today is the draconian manner in which the old nastiness continues to evade the constitution of the party that he leads in the absence of a convention in order to keep his main challenger from qualifying to run against him for the leadership of the party. Imagine a state with a population of just around 100,000, with a median age of 32, and as many as 62% under 35 years of age tolerates an old timer, an old fart like that, around the field of politicians vying for leadership of this nation, even though that old fart is close to 80. You'll have to be retarded. After all, experience has taught us that this old timer, a most vulgar failure who spent the most time in our post-independence period as national leader, decimating the public service, rewarding incompetent, incapacitated supporters for loyalty with state resources, mangling the police force with promotions for loyalists only, with no regard for capacity, and the list can go on to no end, to include drastically reducing the middle class, relegating retired public servants to a life of poverty and indigence by not paying them their pensions and rendering a majority of people poor and vulnerable, and expect people to want to continue with him and his close to 80-year-old expired self. Young Grenadians, you have to be suckers for punishment to allow this. We have to be reminded that it was the children of Garyites who rose up against him. As you, the children of NNP cult members, who also rose up and will continue to rise up against Satan's annoying grandson. You see, folks, Satan's grandson could never have an appreciation for the theory of enough. After all, this is a concept that challenges the dominant cultural narratives of excess in relation to with expiration. You see, constant growth is important, but there is relativity too. We must all know when we have reached our optimum in an area and transcend to the next level of our lives. Remember some time ago I said, a lot of people are going to make the mistake of retiring from. No, you're using the wrong preposition. You should retire too. That phase of your life that you've just retired, you just finished with, is done. You ain't dead yet. Go to the next phase. I've seen too many people who turn 60 retiring from the service or wherever they must retire from when they turn 60. You see them in town with some old slippers in their foot, hardly want to put on brassiere, some soft hat on their head, some old frock. And hey, Mr. Frederick, I retired, you know. and they look like if the only place they should have been is not coming to town looking so, but going straight to the cemetery and sitting on a stone. You all have to cut that out. Not because you retire from work. You have to look like you're preparing to dead. You have to stop it. Reinvent yourself. Look the part of a person who's going to something else. Not just the grave. Come on, folks. That is why we ought to be advocating instead of a lifestyle centered on sufficiency, contentment, and balance. So we do not end status starved like tropical Trump. That old nastiness, who it can be seen as nobody without the office. In a world that often equates more with better, the theory of enough continues to urge individuals such as Satan's grandson to recognize and embrace what is truly necessary for a fulfilling life. It's not too late. You are still alive, and you come from a DNA of long livers. So you should rest in the sunset of your life in peace, rooted in both philosophical thought and practical application. This theory, the theory of enough, transcends mere materialism to address psychological, social, and environmental dimensions of human existence. So if we really had a proper functioning media as the fifth bastion of democracy, the nonsense you see being reported as if to egg on the old nastiness with his commonness, his gutter sniping, would not be. But because most of them were manipulated and emasculated by tropical Trump over the years, they still report favorably on everything that old Jeptic does and says, because they are still beholden to him. But you see, as Premier Mark Brantley of Nevis opined in a timely manner, even though his opinion was in amazement of things in Nevis, it didn't have anything to do with us, but it was just an amazing coincidence. And I will quote him. Can someone explain to me why in a country that boasts nearly 100% literacy, our people refuse to read, listen, and pay attention to anything for themselves, but wait for someone else to give a version of what was said, then respond to that version? Wasn't that what happened when the old nastiness behaved like the old Jept he is in the parliament the other day, and have people now forgetting what was actually said and taking what his version now is, that was said? It's a sad, sad, sad situation, folks. This is what that old nastiness, that trickster, understands about our lazy to think for themselves people, and hence continues to twist everything in the direction of the gutter and have several of you following his direction and respond to according to his version. If that is not manipulation, you tell me what is, and you still fall in for that. But when you're a conscious citizen who is moved to preserve your peace by establishing strong boundaries, you will always avoid these cancers of life: complaining, gossiping, envying, comparing, consuming, doubting, fearing, and hating. You see, these are the cancers. I believe it was about 8 of them, 8 cancers of life that we can find on a widespread basis right here in Grenada. Oh man, and what does that really, what is it a reflection of? What is it a reflection of? It is a reflection of our lack of intelligence. That's all that is. You see, all of these things take time. And when a large swath of our society is more preoccupied with all of them on a full-time basis, miscreants like tropical Trump can ease in and make old mass with among you. I can see people who befriend others on Facebook in a targeted manner to beg them. Good? Listen to me carefully, because I'm a victim of that. They target you, you know, and they come on and then make as if they're communicating with you. And then, bam, you hear they beg you for something. Well, you know, as soon as that begging comes and you answer, block. You just get rid of them, you know. But such people, I see one recently, somebody sent something for me and I saw it, posting things like, the rescue mission is underway and all aboard. The NNP, of course, you and I know the only explanation for NNP is National Nasty Party. So the NNP's train is to the rescue. Rescue from what? Rescue from begging? Rescue from what? Rescue from begging, entitlement, and dependency? Corruption? Bubble? No. You got the script wrong, as those nasty traits belong to the NNP, the National Nasty Party. Are replaced with decency in public office, structure and order in public office, honesty and accountability in public office when it comes to the people's resources, proper fiscal management, showing that reward follows work, that the National Treasury is closed to loafers and people who decide not to work, but aid and abet Satan's grandson to divert funds and offload the Treasury to reward their laziness and further enable them to a life of dependency, while, of course, they become relegated to the vote farm for the National Nasty Party. You get the message? That's what they miss. You see, sometime today, I believe, the National Nasty Party holds some kind of meeting stating that Grenada is facing significant problems with the cries of the people being loud in almost every corner of this land, making it necessary for them to go out and rescue the country. Rescue from what? We don't want no more thieving. The country has already been rescued from that. That is what you rescue a country from. What you need to do now is to try and rescue your cult members, rescue them from dependency and entitlement. That is what you need to encourage their rescue from. Because you see, when you were there, leaving out everybody that you know was not a supporter of you, did you ask how these people lived? You didn't care because tropical Trump was giving you things. Well, it is your turn now for your belly to touch your back. Everything goes in cycles, you know. It's your turn now. So what are you talking about rescue? You know rescue? They have work. Karaku have plenty work. Go and look for work. Because the days of your laziness and the encouragement of your laziness are over. You see, it's the entitled goons who are hurting since the National Treasury has been closed to them for the freeness they used to depend on from Satan's grandson. You get a message? What we ought not lose sight of is the way the party's constitution has been manipulated and in the end discarded to control how internal elections can proceed. Divide and conquer, create a cult of personality, circumvent all internal party rules in order to help Satan's grandson maintain control over the National Nasty Party in an attempt to choreograph karma through circumvention of the very systems meant to provide for structure and order going forward. You see, the current issue in Grenada right now, the government in place that is taking care of the people's business in a much more people-centered and people-focused manner than the old nastiness was ever capable of, is the division within the decimated National Nasty Party that cannot catch itself since the crushing defeat by a young, inexperienced group whose leader is proving rather his worth every day since June 23rd, 2022. Picture yourself for as long as 1995 to 2022, for the most part, being driven and having police saluting you at every turn, opening car door for you and closing it behind you, and all of a sudden a new kid on the block comes and mash up your status apple cart. Whoa, that has to be devastating indeed. Think about it, folks, that people could feel emboldened to voice their disdain for you as you are no longer around the precincts of power to victimize them and otherwise squeeze them in their pockets. Does this kind of legacy suit anybody who's claimed to fame as the longest serving leader during 50 years of a nation's independence? No, man, I think not. Folks, I learned a long time now that only when leaders see themselves as incomplete, recognizing their strengths and weaknesses, can they effectively leverage the strengths of their team. I have learned that a long time now. And of course, you know what I do for a living. So in doing that, that's where all of that edification comes from. You see, I read a lot. Folks, I end with this advice to all my countrymen from Roy McEwen. Up your game. Don't follow those who replace the dreams with complaints. Nothing great is achieved complaining. I'll take that again. Up your game. Don't follow those who replace the dreams with complaints. Nothing great is achieved complaining. You see, in the same way, nothing worthwhile is achieved in your comfort zone. Step outside the box and operate in a manner that indicates your freedom to soar instead of allowing yourself to be kept back by a conman's vote farm while thinking your lot is to be poor and vulnerable. No, you're born for greatness. Release your potential, folks, and grow. KEAT is an acronym for keep everyone else trapped. KEAT. I want you to develop the ability to be disliked. Free yourself from the prison of other people's opinions. Sawandi, Tropical Trump missed the high life. You probably get to discover too that a lot of the so-called big shots who were his friends when he was around the precincts of national power are no longer available because they're gone. So what does he do? He leads the choir of gutter sniping, down in the gutter in the Lali drain, beaten up. It's sad, really sad. You know what is further sad, just before I take my leave? To think we have people who are exposed to the same values as us, the same level of education like us, the same opportunities like us. Huh? Who are joining him in the gutter. Is sad. Could you imagine all the dispatch party to attack anything or anybody or in the government as a means of helping to protect that old nastiness. Look like old kind of drakes. They have a hot and sweaty kind of gutter look. Can't even string 10 words together. You give them a script to read and they fumble, mumble, jumble, falling down. Ever see anybody fall down over a script? They're not even walking anywhere in an uneven ground just to read. And these are the people that are out front wanting to attract you to come and support what they're supporting. Y'all had to be out of your mind to join these people. You notice they can't get no sensible people, no professional looking people, no nothing to speak on their behalf. And to think you had that from 1995 to 2022 for the most part, running your country. You know, that takes me back to the needy, the greedy, and the vultures. Because a lot of the people who socialize like we have been, who know better, they fall in the line of the vultures because they were part of a phenotype, a part of a group that they go on to see what they could get. And living, running nice, so they're anchored there. And then you have the needy and the greedy. Folks, that's sad, you know. And they know who they are. You see why I have to make my little house and where I live nice so that I don't have to go anywhere. Because such people could never socialize with me genuinely. And I know that. I know my place. And my place is to enjoy the company of the person I'm alone with. Because already I have developed the ability to be disliked. So I am free from the prison of other people's opinions. Isn't that beautiful, folks? I am in. I am out. I am gone. Thank you for joining me today. God, I had some fun. Continue to share. See you next week at the same time, same place, for more extraordinary programming. God willing, of course. Until then, stay safe, stay well, remain vigilant and lifted, folks. Don't let this miscreant of an old nastiness, tropical Trump, take you and make no ARSE with you. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Just type in my name, Edward or Eddie Frederick. Subscribe, like, and share. And be prepared to receive your mental multivitamins as straight up as I deliver them. Toodaloo, folks. Have a great one. It was really a plum-pleasing pleasure to be with you today. Take great care of your wonderful selves and have a productive week. And of course, the students who are going back to school tomorrow, be careful on the road. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow on the road. So folks, those of you who are working, make up your mind to be a little earlier tomorrow because the traffic environment is going to be a lot more dense. So study your heads. All the best. Take wonderful care of yourselves. Cheers.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This has been Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy. For too long now, our generally perceived poorly educated electorate have fallen victim to the cheap and inferior propaganda of those seeking to hold others captive under the guise of democracy. Gladly, the CDGG uses edification to help to actively pursue a sustainable approach to reorient our people towards the importance of electing and selecting people of good character to public life. Through edification, we will highlight the importance of education appropriate to our development, proper healthcare and facilities as our right, respect for law and order, not to mention upgrading our people's thinking so they could become qualified participants in the democratic process to their advantage. After all, Grenada's national constitution makes allowances for the ideal of free men to enjoy freedom from fear and want, which can be best achieved if conditions are created whereby everyone may enjoy his economic, social and political, civil and cultural rights.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the country store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
There are some interesting specials available at Country Cold Store's Mini Mart while stocks last. Take advantage of these specials as they assist you to stretch your limited funds.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftop and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. You can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. Hiring the right people with the right attitude and mindset is where to start. Even if you did not get it right through your current hiring methods, we can help develop the right mindset for your current employees. If you think training is expensive, try not training and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Take time and I write down all these I love on my island. Best believe my list gon' be like 5 miles long. Best believe it's love that makes me sing this song. The cleanest breeze on the waters. Friendly people meet in every corner. Togetherness and love is what we stand for. We stand for. Stand for. Oh, island in this song. Look at how we've grown, how far we've run. 50 years we strong and more to come. More to come. Going higher. 50 years we're blessed with fortune fire. Still reaching for more. Going up, going up, 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 going up, going up, going up, 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 higher. Going higher. As we aspire.